Hey everyone, for any nursing student, the NCLEX is pretty much the final boss. But what if I told you that soon you might be able to face that final boss right from your own home? Yup, the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, or the NCSBN, just dropped a bombshell announcement about a massive change to the exam, and we're going to break down exactly what it means for you. No, really, just think about that for a second. No more stressing about traffic, no more sitting in some freezing cold, unfamiliar room. Just you, your computer, and the last thing standing between you and your nursing license. Sounds kind of wild, right? But believe it or not, this is really happening. So here's the bottom line. The NCSBN is officially rolling out a remote testing option for the NCLEX. This means you'll be able to take the exam from home or another quiet, approved location. This is a massive shift, and it's all about bringing a ton more flexibility into the whole process. And look, this isn't some pipe dream for 10 years down the road. The target date they're aiming for is 2026. So yeah, this is happening, and it's coming up fast. All right, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with what this big change actually is. Then we'll get into the good and the bad, the case for it and the case against it. After that, we're going to pull back the curtain on how this remote proctoring stuff even works. And finally, we'll wrap up with what this all means for you. Okay, let's dive right into the big change and what this NCLEX at-home option is really all about. Okay, first things first. This is all about choice. The testing centers, they're not going anywhere. This just adds another option to the mix. And this is absolutely crucial. The exam itself, it is identical. We're talking the same questions, the same scoring, the same adaptive format. So the what isn't changing, just the where. So you might be asking, why? Why make such a huge change to an exam this important? Well, it really all comes down to one big idea: access. The whole point is to tear down some of the barriers that have been a real pain or even a total roadblock for a lot of aspiring nurses. I mean, just think about the simple act of physically getting to the exam. For some people, yeah, it's a stressful drive across town. But for others, well, listen to this from a Reddit user. Actually, it is at least 15 hours of flight for me. Not everybody in this world lives next to a test center. And that just hits it right on the head, doesn't it? That travel adds a massive burden of time, money, and stress right when you need it least. And it's not just about travel. The benefits are pretty clear across the board. You're looking at way more convenience and flexible hours. You're cutting down on travel costs and stress. And hey, you get to be in your own comfortable, familiar space. It's all about getting rid of those logistical headaches so that more qualified nurses can get into the field where we need them. Okay, but it's not all sunshine and roses. Offering this kind of convenience for such a high-stakes exam brings up some really serious concerns. And the other side of the argument really boils down to two big things: exam integrity and a whole new kind of stress. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room: cheating. I mean, this comment from a nursing student on Reddit just nails the feeling a lot of people have. We've all heard stories about people trying to game the system with online proctoring, so it makes total sense to be worried about keeping an exam this important completely secure. But the stress factor isn't just about the fear of other people cheating. It's about the new kind of psychological pressure you're under when you take the exam at home. Just listen to this from a student who's been through it. Wow. So even when you're doing everything right, that feeling of being watched like a hawk in your own room, it can be super distracting and really, really stressful. So what you're looking at is a really clear set of trade-offs. With at-home testing, you get that flexibility, no travel required. But, and this is a big but, you are now 100% responsible for the setting and the technology. If your internet goes out, that's on you. In a testing center, sure, scheduling is more limited and you have to travel, but you get a totally controlled professional setting, and if a computer glitches, there's staff right there to help you out. So neither one is perfect, right? It really just comes down to which set of problems you'd rather deal with. All right, so with all these legitimate fears about cheating and security, how in the world is the NCSBN planning to pull this off? Let's pivot from the worries to the actual solutions and see how this remote proctoring technology is supposed to work. So before you can even start, there's a 3-step setup. First up, there's a mandatory tech check to make sure your system can handle it. Then you've got to prep a totally private, quiet room, no interruptions allowed. And finally, you set up what they call a 360-degree view, and this part is the real game changer for security. So what exactly is this 360-degree proctoring?
Basically, you'll use a special app on your phone, and during the exam, your phone's camera and your computer's webcam team up. This gives a live human proctor a complete wraparound view of you and your entire space. They can see everything, making sure it's all legit.
And that's not all. The security is actually layered. They're using a whole suite of tech. We're talking strict ID validation before you start, scans of your room, AI that can detect prohibited objects, and all of this is helping out the live human proctors by flagging anything that looks even a little bit suspicious. Okay, but the billion-dollar question is, does all this fancy tech actually work? Does it make the test fair? Well, researchers wanted to find out. A big study in 2022 compared remote exams to in-person ones, and the results were pretty eye-opening. Get this, test scores were practically identical. Pass rates showed no real difference. And maybe most importantly, the amount of suspicious behavior that got flagged was super low, and basically the same for both groups. So the data really seems to show that when it's done right, remote testing can be just as secure and reliable. Okay, so we've covered the good, the bad, and the tech behind it all. So what does this actually mean for you on your journey to becoming a nurse? Let's bring it all home. Here is the single most important thing you need to know for your study plan. Nothing changes. The exam itself, the questions, the scoring, that adaptive format is 100% the same whether you're at home or in a testing center. Your prep work stays exactly the same. So come 2026, every single nursing candidate is going to have a choice to make, and it really is a trade-off. You can choose the convenience and comfort of your own home, but that means you're responsible for the tech and a new kind of stress. Or you can choose the structure of a testing center, but that means dealing with travel and less flexibility. There's no single right answer here. At the end of the day, this big change is really about putting the power in your hands. It's about letting you choose the environment where you think you'll do your absolute best. It's a huge step forward, and it really makes you wonder, right? As tech keeps reshaping everything in nursing, from patient care to how we learn, what's next for licensure? It's a pretty wild future to think about, and you're right at the heart of it.